Are you a TEDx hopeful? Raise your hand if you're a TEDx hopeful. Let's get those hands up there. Please put in the chat if you've been following us on the TEDx Trail with Irma Goosen and if you are looking to get on that big red dot stage. Yes, I'm keeping my hand up because I am a TEDx hopeful. Speaking with Irma this entire time on this project, even offline, it's been so inspiring to hear about her TEDx journey. And I live in Jacksonville. My name is Olivia Vo here in Jacksonville, Florida. And there is a TEDx event coming up in October. So I put in my application. So fingers crossed, I will be hearing very soon from organizers if I am accepted. So they're sending out acceptance emails or letters pretty soon here. So fingers crossed for that. But yeah, thank you so much again for joining. We were just so overwhelmed with the amazing support that everyone has been showering Irma with as she explores this next stage of her speaking career. And so many of you chimed in with positive encouragement and advice. And so we so appreciate that. Please keep the comments coming. And we'd love to hear from you and feature you here as well, too, and highlight your comments. So thank you again for joining on the TEDx Trail. Irma Goosen is an advocate for immigrant success. She's specifically talking about legal immigrants and how they so much want to be a part of the communities they're living in and successfully integrating. She offers a very refreshing framework to help immigrants connect. And the word connect itself is an acronym, and it stands for communication, open-mindedness, networking, nurture, exploration, and cultivation. So, without further ado, please welcome Irma, and we're going to play a video clip just in a few seconds here so that you can get to meet her as well too. Hang on one moment. And here's the clip, and let's welcome Irma.
Hello, Olivia. I've got my fingers crossed. See?
Thank you, Irma. You have been such an inspiration to me, and I'm excited to see what this will come about. So, following in your footsteps, my friend.
Good vibes, good vibes.
So we've got 11 days to go. Oh my gosh, how are you feeling at
Yes.
this moment?
Happy Wednesday. I am excited. I have been embracing this whole journey from the start. People around me are nervous. They are freaking out. They feel like they're blanking out. Me, I've got a plan. I'm following my plan. And I'm right on target and I'm excited. I'm so excited to go to San Diego and meet all the speakers there.
Sounds fantastic. Wonderful. So I'm so happy to have you back here for episode 2. And today I really wanted to get the audience a chance to understand the anatomy of a TEDx talk, right? Because there are certain elements that distinguish this talk from other speeches that they may have given. And in the previous episode, you had mentioned, where you got the start of this idea, and you shared a very significant story about an incident that happened at your daughter's daycare that made you want to explore immigration. And so that story alone, though, is not enough, right, for TEDx. And although it's very inspirational, motivational, it's not what they're looking for. So can you talk a little bit about, how do we go beyond into that element, and how do we broaden our talks to make it much more relevant for the audience?
A TEDx talk is not a motivational talk. So there are people with incredible life journeys, with stories that break your heart. They have gone through suffering, they struggling with health, with whatever the case might be with their families. But it's not enough. A TED Talk is not about you as the speaker. It's about the audience. It's what can you bring the audience? What can you give to them? Because they go there to learn. They want to walk away with something in their pockets, something that could be hope. It could be a definite list. I'm going to do this from now on. Or, oh, is that what it's all about? Maybe someone who wants to be an athlete or someone who wants to race cars, who knows? But you have to make sure also that you are aware that there could be a lot of misinformation on the web. So, whatever you put out there, research it a lot. Make sure that your story is about 20 to 30% of the speech, and the rest, it is just to amplify what you want to help your audience with.
Oh, so the personal story is only 20% of the actual talk itself.
Yeah, to give you an idea, we have 10 minutes at the event in San Diego, and my story is probably about 2 minutes. So, all in all, it is more about lessons and ideas and statistics and things that is why the TED Talks and the TEDx Talks are so credible, because of the research that has gone into them and of the facts and ideas that come forward. It's a different idea. It's a new idea that you come forward with. Maybe you look at things from a different perspective, but it's something that can help people. And that fits right in my bucket, because I want to help legal immigrants, as you mentioned, to be able to integrate in their new countries, to be able to make sure that they fit in and they do things to fit in. You're not going to fit in by landing there and, oh, I'm in a new country. Now what? This country has to show me they want me here. It's the other way around.
Indeed, it is the other way around. Okay. So let's talk a bit about the research, right? Because TEDx loves their statistics and their research. And so, how have you been going about this with preparing some information for the context of your talk?
Well, first of all, I read this book, Chris Anderson, He Stole the Top Dog at TED, and then this one as well by Carmine Gallo. These two books have been a huge help. When you get approved to be on a TEDx stage, the organizer gets you a coach if you're interested. And I had a coach, but I also paid for a TEDx coach. I paid for someone to help me just get my ideas straight. And people proofread my talk. They went through it. And if it didn't fit with what the requirements were, they told me that. So it is very important that you do your research and you get people to help you. To do a TEDx talk is not the same as being a Toastmaster. And I'm a Toastmaster. So Toastmasters are different. We manage to give different speeches. But with TED, it's not about you, as I said before. It's not you. It's me. It's not me. It's you. What are you going to decide to do? So that is really what it's about. It's the speaker is there for the audience.
I think that's an amazing benefit, right? That once you are selected as a speaker, that they give you those resources, like a coach who's usually a volunteer, right, with the
Yes.
organization,
Mhm.
to work with you. And how many hours would you say is required for that meeting with the coach?
The coach I had, we met 3 times only because I think that I did so much work by myself that I was doing okay. So that was the free coach. And then once I prepared my speech and I worked through the speech a gazillion times, honestly, I asked the formal TEDx coach that I had paid money for to go through my coach and my speech again, and he was he was happy with it. So he's happy, I'm happy, I'm ready to go.
Excellent. I think it's important to get some early feedback just to make sure that you're on track, right? That this is going to be within the guidelines and the framework of TEDx, and also if it's going to resonate with the general public, because you don't know who's going to be in the audience. I mean, we attract such a wide crowd.
I must say, I have uh, presented my speech to my dog, Cosmo, about 10 times a day. He now just lays down and lifts one eye and says, "Not that again." So, practice is very important, but you need to get your speech together first. There are different formats that you can start your speech with. There are different formats you can present your speech. You can have PowerPoints, you could have props on stage. I'm not having either. I am just going to present my speech because I feel it's important for people to hear what I have to say. And that is how every TEDx speaker feels. It's important for the audience to hear what they have to say because, you could say something and it could save a life. That's why it's so important to make sure that it's impactful, whatever you bring to the audience.
Indeed. Awesome. And I'm surprised. I did not know that you're not going to have a presentation or props. You're just going to speak. That's incredible.
Yeah, many people do have PowerPoints. I already decided I'm going to do another TEDx. So I will then go a little bit further with technology. I This one I just want to embrace everything and have fun with it. I want to go there and I want to see all the people and just be in the spotlight and I'm hopeful that whatever I talk about that it will motivate others to embrace immigrants and to embrace being an immigrant and to give them the nudge they need to go out of their way to do something amazing. And something interesting in some of my research that I've come across, and I think I might have mentioned it, but it's about 30% of immigrants, and this is now North America, I'm talking the US and Canada, between 25 and 30% of legal immigrants start their own businesses and then they employ other immigrants and they are successful. So that gives you an idea that immigrants, they left their homes for some reason and work or whatever it might be, and they go to the new country and they want to fit in. We as human beings, we want to belong somewhere. And my talk is about being able to fit in, to be able to make sure that you put in the work. And I agree with so many other people. At the end of the day, it's your attitude, it's how you approach something. So that is very important. But go with an open mind, and I'm going to enjoy San Diego.
So many people are lining up wanting to meet you. And it's terrific, right? I mean, you've built these relationships with everyone virtually, and now you get to meet them all in person. So, very,
Mm.
very for you for that. Um, I love that. We all want to belong somewhere, and you're going to be able to highlight that, right, in your speech. And I know also that TEDx wants a call to action, right? So that's another element of a TEDx talk. So, what was your call to action? How would you formulate that?
You have to make your call to action in such a way and create it in such a way that people can relate. If people cannot relate to you, to your story, then they're not going to be bothered to listen to what you have to say. I, you know that I do like AI. I like playing with AI. And when my speech was done, I had put it into ChatGPT to find out if this is powerful or not. And because I had heard it's not motivational, well, there was no emotion in it. It was strict and straightforward, and this is this, and this point, and that point. And ChatGPT came back after doing its research, and because I have the paid version, and it said that there's no emotion. How do you want people to relate if you don't show them how you feel? Back to the drawing board I went, and I had to redo the speech. Yeah, interesting.
So you took out all the emotion, and ChatGPT asked you to put it all back in.
Yeah, and I asked, I said, so ChatGPT, why should I put emotion in? I thought a TEDx talk is not motivational. And it came back, said, you're correct. It's not motivational, but you cannot have people relate to your story and listen to your ideas if you don't show your emotion. Okay. I've been slapped on the wrist by an artificial intelligence persona. Mm. Yeah, it was.
Awesome. And as I understand that your research is ongoing, and the same survey that you administered to your coworkers and colleagues is now available online, and other people can participate. Is that right?
It is. I have on my link tree, there's a link to participate in the survey. And the questions I ask is these are the questions I wanted to know when I left South Africa. It's questions I wish I had been aware of. I wish I could just look at, just that little bit of prepared notes before you enter any situation, because we prepared for this series. I prepare at work. When you go on a long road trip, you prepare. But I think when we left, it was a matter of we're going to fly by the seat of our pants and see what comes up. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We lived south of Houston on an acreage, and we were there for about 4 years. And I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the experience. I embraced it. I did not like the snakes or the bugs or the spiders or alligators, tornadoes, hurricanes. But the people made up for it. So, yeah, it was fun. But the survey is important because I will use that in my business. And I also, in the survey, there is a question to ask if you would be interested in being in the book. I would like to put together an anthology that our dear Olivia here would help us launch as well. Wink, wink. So the survey is very important to me for what I'm doing. Yes.
Fantastic. So you too can be a part of the survey and participate. And the link is available on the screen. You can find it under the survey tab of Irma's Linktree. And perhaps you don't have an immigrant background, but you know someone who does. So be sure to share it with them. And I think this is going to be very useful. Like Irma said, like, this is just a one-time event, but it is definitely ongoing as part of Irma's business to collect those immigrant stories and to find different ways that they can better integrate in their communities and life. So awesome. Yay. So you can all be part of the TEDx trail by taking in the survey. And I think that's the nice thing, right? So even though like we're not involved per se with the actual event, but there's little things that we can do to
Yes.
rally around you, which I think is so inspirational in and itself, right? That we can rally around you and your success and celebrate your success as well too. Yeah.
If I may, I am putting together a pocketbook for the event as well that will be available. So next week we will be able to give the link, share the link that people could get it. And it's really just some of the issues I've come across that I managed to put together and to help people integrate within the new communities.
Fantastic. Awesome. So this wraps up episode 2. Today we talked about breaking down the elements of what makes a TEDx talk unique. And so Irma has already covered it, that 20% of the TEDx talk is your story. And the rest of it needs to be backed up with science and research and statistics, information that will just present a bigger context of your story, and then having a powerful call to action that people can relate to. And it's okay to show emotion.
Yes, show emotion.
Emotion as you're sharing your story. And I think one of the books that you had mentioned earlier by Chris Anderson, he talks about this fascinating concept about the mirror neurons that happen, right? As you're speaking and having the brain waves or brain patterns change within the audience as well too. I remember reading that part of it. So incredible. And that's where the emotion part comes in. Yeah,
Yes.
I think people will relate because if they're a parent, with a child in daycare, like they'll know that feeling of protecting their loved ones, and the decision that you had to make, to change your family's life for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, awesome, Irma. And stay tuned. Thank you so much for all of you for watching. And stay tuned for next week. So, next week, episode 3, we're going to have an amazing lineup with some guest appearances. So, it's definitely something that you want to look out for and be a part of and join a discussion. That will be just right before the event itself. And we'll be talking about, what to wear.
Right.
Which is just as important because you want to make a good impression when you're on stage and make sure that you're not clashing with the red TEDx background. So yes, so definitely be prepared for that episode. We'll be talking to Irma and some of our fellow co-speakers and just discussing what they're going to wear and their topics and what they're doing, any special rituals that are helping them prepare for that big moment. So stay tuned for that next week. All right, and remember the Irma's link, please follow her. All of her social links are on this link tree and take that survey. And Irma, what is your insight for today?
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You have to make sure that whatever you do for your TEDx talk, you have to plan how you're going to approach it, how you are going to start working through it, memorizing it, working on your PowerPoints, working on your props. When are you going to do where? You have to plan the whole speech, the whole time you're on that stage. Those 10 minutes or 18 minutes, whatever the TEDx talk length is, some is even at 5 minutes. you have to make sure that those 5 minutes are so impactful that people will sit back and go, wow, I didn't know that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
There you have it, Irma's insight for today. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Every word counts. All right, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye, everyone.